Thank you, gentlemen. Following up on Mr. Duncan's point earlier on the North Korea-Cuba nexus, in 2014, just recently, North Korea attempted to ship from Cuba a concealed shipment of, quote, various components of surface-to-air missile systems and launchers, MiG-21 jet fighters, parts and engines, shell casings, rocket-propelled projectiles, and other ammunition, end quote. Now, our Treasury Department did penalize the North Koreans. We thank you, Mr. Glazer, but not their enablers, the Cuban regime. Why not sanction Cuba for aiding and abetting the North Koreans? Now, this illegal shipment of military hardware, I just read a little snippet of parts of what it entailed, were traveling from Cuba to North Korea in containers filled with sugar, quickly melting sugar. Panamanian officials stopped it at the canal, and the North Korean captain attempted to commit suicide. He didn't try to commit suicide because he feared UN sanctions or he feared U.S. sanctions. He feared the revenge of Kim Jong-un. Now, I want to know why we don't sanction Cuba for aiding and abetting the North Koreans, and why didn't we work with the UN so that the UN could impose their sanctions? You correctly, Ambassador Kim, that sanctions are important. This is what the UN response was. This is the Security Council Committee 4-page, strongly worded memo. That's what Cuba got. It said the concealed cargo of arms and related material, illicit cargo, to include the hazardous cargo, was not declared on the ship's manifest, and the cargo was hidden under 218,000 bags of raw sugar. But, boy, they got really tough. They said the committee encourages all member states to remain vigilant regarding their obligations and responsibility to inspect suspect cargo to prevent prohibited items going to and from the DPRK and to ensure the relevant national implementing instruments, blah, 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 blah. In regard, the committee draws the attention of member states to security resolution. Oh, my golly. This is all that happened when they were shipping MiGs and everything else under melting sugar. And you talk about the sanctions and how important they are, yet Treasury Department looked the other way. It was like that ship just came magically from Cuba, phantom ship, violating all kinds of sanctions of the U.S. and United Nations, and there was no penalty to pay. So we wonder why North Korea does what it's doing and why it's in cahoots with other rogue nations. So I encourage you to be a little tougher. It takes two to tango. North Korea was not shipping these on their own. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I know I'm out of time, but on WIPO, I've been very concerned about this, and with former ranking member Howard Berman, we asked for an investigation on the transfer of U.S. origin technology by the UN's World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, to North Korea and Iran. It's clear that this administration did nothing to prevent WIPO from transferring sensitive dual-use technology to North Korea, and that it has not taken the threat of technology transfer seriously. Incredibly, after WIPO Director General Francis Gurry knowingly withheld the organization's transactions with North Korea in 2012, in violation of UN Security Council resolutions, WIPO again ran a controversial mission to North Korea last June and has been less than forthcoming with details about that mission. Yet not only was Gurry not held accountable, he was once again reappointed in May 2014 as Director General of WIPO with little resistance from the Obama administration. We just looked the other way. What are we going to do to prevent U.S. technology and U.S. taxpayer dollars from being transferred in the future when we have that kind of an attitude? We don't have much time, but you don't need to answer, but just sanctions are important. We need to implement them. A strongly worded memo from either the Treasury or the UN is not going to do the trick. It's not going to stop anybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.